Welcome, everyone, to Ignite Humanity Live. I'm your host, Lady JB Owen, and I'm excited today because we are talking about solutions on this beautiful episode of Igniting Humanity. That's right. We're here today to talk about ways for you to ignite humanity, and we want to give you some fun solutions on things that you can do in your life to start the ball rolling on living your best dreams, on living that absolute exceptional version of you so that you can shine the light on somebody else to ignite their life and do the same. We believe that a ripple effect can happen throughout the nation, throughout the world, when each and every one of us step into the greatest version of ourselves, doing the best we can, living a life of consciousness, awareness, connection, loving, giving, caring, and that will indeed ignite humanity. And what we do is bring wonderful guests on the show to talk about how they are igniting humanity. And what we also ask is their ignite moment. What was the moment that sparked it all? What was the impetus in their life that brought forth this idea that in doing certain things, they could indeed ignite humanity? And that in turn could make a greater place for each and every one of us. I hope igniting humanity is something on your heart because we're going to be talking about it for the next 30 minutes. Join us as we meet our next guest. Zakariya Frank is the CMO of BeatCancer, a 46-year-old nonprofit organization that educates people on holistic ways to prevent or beat cancer. In addition to free personalized counseling for cancer patients, they have a wide variety of other educational programs for patients, caregivers, medical professionals, and anyone else in need. Zakariya has a passion for impacting the world from the ground up. He enjoys bringing actionable and empowering information to people that allows them to live healthier, happier, more fulfilled lives. He believes that healthy individuals result in healthy families, communities, and a healthier humanity. All right, well, let's welcome him to the show. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me, Lady JB. It's an honor to be here.
Super happy to have you here. I mean, I have not heard of this organization, so I think it's actually quite wonderful. Free counseling to people to help them beat cancer. Let's talk a little bit about that because I'm sure there's many people who don't know that this service is available.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people don't know about us. However, we are seeking to change that because we have a mission to help as many people as possible because there's too much needless suffering out there. It doesn't have to be this way of the cycles of illness and ailment and unfortunate death happening. And we do what we can to prevent it.
Yes, and I'm sure, and I don't know the statistics, you may know them, but obviously cancer is rising in a illness amongst many people, taking many lives. Is there things that we can do preventatively or things that we can do in our own lives to, well, I don't want to say not use your service, but prevent us from having to be in that situation?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And hey, if we run ourselves out of business,
Yes.
I would love that. I would love if nobody at all needed anything that we talk about because everyone was good. That's our goal in a grand scale. But yeah, there's certainly things people can do to minimize the potential of them having a bout of cancer to face. And they really come down to just living right. It comes down to living healthily and living more naturally and getting back to a basic and humane way of being and stripping away the artificiality and the trauma that is all too common in the modern world, to put it broadly.
I so agree with you. There are so many challenges that we're facing and so many things that aren't really actually that natural for us as human beings. If we took a gorilla or a cheetah or an elephant and put them in front of a screen and made them sit still and not move for hours on end and had them hunched over, I mean, I'm sure hunched over, I'm sure that they too would suffer health conditions and health problems. And it's actually quite sad that we're so smart and we know better, but we don't do it. Are there some things that your organization is teaching people that maybe if we're not experiencing cancer, we're caregivers, we're family members of, we're children of, are there things that you could enlighten us on how to be living or experiencing this in a more holistic way?
Yeah, absolutely. And the answer might be very boring because we don't claim to have any fountain of youth. We don't have some magic pill or magic formula or magical information that's not anywhere else in the world or on the internet already. We just present the information and really drive it home with the evidence and with the research and with the proper comprehension from the years in the field of how powerful the basics are. What are you eating? what's eating you? Now, what do those two things mean? Well, what are you putting in your mouth and putting on your body? Your diet isn't just what's going in your mouth. It's also what's, being applied to your skin, being applied to your hair, being applied to your scalp. What are you cleaning your house with? Because then that's going to absorb into you. All of these things can, if we're unconscious of what choices we're making in them, accrue physical toxins and poisons in the body. But poison can also be emotional. And so we have to comprehend what might be eating away at us from within, because cancers are inherently tied to emotionality many of the times as well. In several different ancient cultures, it was common understanding that we have emotional, energetic centers of our body. And when those particular centers are off via traumatic experiences or just overall patterns of unhealthy emotions, well, those areas can sometimes come down with cancer as well. It's been observed.
I think that is such a good point, because many of us are sort of blaming the cleaning companies, the laundry companies, the pharmaceutical companies, the water treatment plants. We're always sort of blaming the bigger problem. And yet that problem exists. But at the same time, we can turn the viewpoint on ourselves and realize what toxic emotional or mental imagery or imagination or vision or memories or anger, or all those sorts of stuff that is also creating toxicity in our body. Watching a movie just last night talking about how inflammation is really the beginning of a lot of cancers, and inflammation is obviously caused by not eating the right foods. How many of us eat food and then we don't feel good, but we still eat it anyway? That's me with popcorn.
Yeah, it happens.
Right, but then it causes the inflammation that the body can't continue to process, and it's just this big cycle.
Yep.
Are there some things that you suggest that people can do to create a more balanced emotional well-being?
Wow, how much time do we have, JB? That's a broad
As
question,
much as
right?
we can take.
To really put it in a basic way, our bodies and our minds and our souls and our hearts and our guts, they all know what we need. It's our minds sometimes that conflate it all and confuse it all. If someone really does sit with themselves and think about what's going on around them and what they've found themselves experiencing, from there we can unpack, hey, how did we get here? And then how can I get to a more harmonious solution? You really nailed it with mentioning personal empowerment and accepting responsibility for everything that we kind of have go on with us. But I'll even take it farther and say, yes, there are companies selling things that are toxic out there, like you mentioned, the cleaning products, the this, the that. But we still have the choice to partake in what they're selling or not, right? So even on the physical side of things, we can take the personal accountability and say, yes, a free market allows companies to sell things that aren't necessarily in my favor. I also have the opportunity to simply not purchase them and to study and learn the alternatives, And so the empowerment, the responsibility, from there stems all true change.
Yeah, it's so true. And listening to our bodies is so important. Food is changing drastically. I know that I used to love certain foods, and then I eat it now and my body's like, that doesn't taste the same. They've changed the recipe. It doesn't feel the same. The ingredients feel different. And your body is like really telling you, but what our mind does is be like, oh, just do it. It's fine. It's nothing. We override that. And that really does lead to a lot of mistrust or that connection within ourselves. We don't even trust ourselves because we're not doing the best thing we can for us, for our health and for our wellness. I do appreciate that you say that there is support for family members. Just recently, I went through an experience where someone in my family was diagnosed with something. The doctors said something. And it was really the mindset around, we actually didn't call it cancer in our house. We called it the gnarly. And so we were like, how's the gnarly doing? What's the gnarly up to? And we just even moved ourselves away from that word so we could create a little bit more fun and a little bit more excitement. When I got the phone call, gnarly's all gone, I was like, who's gnarly again? I mean, we were just really having a lot of fun with it to increase the mental state around it. Because what I wanted to point out was, just because the doctor says XYZ, it doesn't mean that is your prognosis. That could be your diagnosis, but not your prognosis. Can you talk about the difference between those two?
Yeah, I might just log off because it sounds like you got this down. You might be able to say everything.
No, I need you to help share the message.
Yeah, you absolutely hit a key point in that our minds can be our best friend or our worst enemy, right? What we tell ourselves and what we allow into our minds and what we allow to be the themes and the overall things that play through our minds is such an important part of both maintaining health and advancing health, but also in recovering and healing. Some of the best success stories that I've observed or heard are from the stubbornest of people who bold-faced looked their doctor in the eye when their doctor tried to label them and put them in some box of sickness and said, nope, no, thank you. No, I don't have that. And that might sound, maybe that person's being silly, unrealistic, whatever word someone might cast upon it who doesn't comprehend the power of the mind. But really, they're setting themselves up for the ultimate success in not resonating and internalizing and accepting the label and the reality of any ailment. And, one of our coaches shared a perspective with me that I really think is impactful and beneficial for people, in that you did a fantastic thing in your family of renaming cancer and getting rid of the C word and just calling it some euphemism. And that's cool. Again, downplay it because it's not that big a deal. We'll get rid of it. We can heal it. You got this. But another way to go about it is leaning into it and understanding that cancer is just our own cells that are unhealthy. That's a very basic way to put it. Don't go crazy on me if there's more science behind it. Yes. But basically, it's our own cells that are currently unhealthy. But your body as a structure is designed to constantly have cells that die and then are replaced, and that die and then are replaced. That's a natural cycle of the body. Our cells have cycles and they have lifespans themselves. And perhaps everyone at any given moment has a few cells that are unhealthy that could be referred to as cancer or cancer. It's only when they build up over time and clump up, etc., that it then gets labeled cancer and becomes some scary, monstrous thing in a lot of people's minds. But if we understand, perhaps we all have a bit of cancer every day. That's okay. Let's do what we can to promote healing in the body, promote the body's natural detoxification and regeneration pathways and avenues, and kind of just own it. It kind of suddenly makes it less scary because it's just a part of life. Interesting reframe.
I so agree with you, because so many people have a headache, have an ache, have a pain, have a something, and they want to go to the doctor and they want it to be labeled and they want it to be identified. And here's what I tell people all the time. The doctor is a fantastic investigator, and they will not stop until they find something to label it with. Versus if you could take the time to ask your body, figure out, shift your eating, shift your behaviors, shift some of your practices, listen, tune in, connect, your body will tell you what it needs to heal versus getting a label to go forward. All right, well, let's shift off to that a little bit, because we could go on forever about that. I agree. Let's talk about you and the story behind the Ignite moment around why this became an important mission for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we could go way back to my childhood and talk about how, as a young child and a young adolescent, I just always knew the world wasn't quite as it seemed. Things just weren't quite right the way they were painted out to be, whether that was health. My mom would be the kind of person to say, oh, you have a headache, take an Advil. Oh, here's an ibuprofen. Oh, do this. Not that that's bad on her. That's what she was taught, and that's what made sense to her. That's cool. But I just never liked that. I never liked that. And I just never liked the way that things were going societally. So what do you do when you're a young person and you realize things aren't right? You just get on with it. You just get along and do what you can. I went to university. I started a corporate job after that. And, you just kind of like, okay, the world is weird, but I'm going to do what I can to try to live a good life. And at the corporate job that I found myself at, working for a big banking institution, it was just so boring. It was a boring and easy job. So I get my work done really fast, and I just had time to peruse the internet. And the internet is a wild and wacky place, but there's a lot of interesting and good information on there as well. And so I just so happened to find a little niche of the internet that was exposing real truths and the way things really were, kind of behind the veil of different things, behind the veil of health. There's good. What's going on in the water? They're doing what with the food? What's going on in the skies? But it was a beyond that. It was just an overall, how does the banking system work? What's fractional reserve banking? Like, what's the education? Like, I just really dove down all the different avenues of exploring reality beyond what perhaps the average person considers, and just getting on with their lives. Because I'm a person of action and always have been, I really had to make drastic changes in my life. I started cleaning up my act. I started cleaning up my diet. I started cleaning up what I did in life and what I experienced mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I started on my own healing journey. And the more I went down that path, the better I felt. And the more healthy and happy I felt, and the better my relationships with others became, and the more I was able to just light up rooms and talk to this person, that person, and I just felt a difference being made. And so I think it would take a psychopathic person to experience that and then not want to help others also feel healthier and happier and explore truths in regards to health. And so that's why I've just been down this path. And then yeah, I'll stop there for now.
Well, I was just going to say lovingly, like that is really the recipe of igniting humanity. Something in you feels like you want to learn more, something in you wants to grow, and in your own personal exploration and growth to be of your best self, not the exploration of growth to make things more complicated, to be your best self. You decided that you wanted to do something for yourself. You started making changes. You started doing the things that were going to better your life. And when you feel better and you know, and you're learning and you're expanding, then of course you want to help others. You want to share that beautiful knowledge and that wonderful feeling. And that really is the recipe, the lighting, a candle lighting another many candles of how we can ignite humanity. And I love the example because folks, if you're feeling like something's just not right, you're not loving your health, you're not loving your life, you're not loving the state of your mind, start doing some research, start looking, start listening to any one of our guests. We have over 300 episodes for you to listen to, and go down the path of discovering how to spark that new awareness in you. And eventually that will lead to you wanting to help others and ignite humanity. Well done. Love it, Zakariya. All right, well, let's give our folks some solutions because it's solution day. Are there some solutions you can suggest for people to do right now after the show?
Right now, look at everything that's in your kitchen cabinet. Throw it out if it's not real. Stop eating food-like products. Eat real food. And I don't care if you're a plant eater, a meat eater, or anywhere in between, because any of those things are more real than something with red number 40 and artificial ingredients of all sorts of varieties and plasticizers that have no business being in the body. Get yourself a water filter, drink clean water, shower in clean water. Just clean up your physical vessel, because the mind and the soul are connected to your physical body. And so only through addressing on all fronts, living a healthier life, can all of them thrive. And so those are some direct actionables, and they're super boring, but they're super real and super effective.
I can put a filter on my shower.
Yeah. Oh, that's one of my favorite things because it's so low cost. It's so low cost and it's so easy. You don't have to be a plumber. Go to Amazon. I don't benefit from this. I'm not affiliating with any product. It's just super easy. Search shower filter or fluoride shower filter. And the ones I use are just very basic cartridges. You can keep your existing shower head of choice. You unscrew the shower head, you screw on this filter, and then you put back on your shower head. You'll see
great.
You'll see the difference.
Because the skin is the largest organ we have, and we need to take care of it. It's so valuable. I'm with you. Get rid of box food, get rid of canned food. I mean, if you think about something in a can for 5 years and doesn't seem like that's weird, you go and eat it and it's been on the shelf for 5 years in a can, that's kind of an indicator that it's probably not going to be healthy for you. So lovingly, great. I love that. Clean out our cupboards, get better water, get a filter on our shower. What else you got?
Those are super basic, but we could dive deeper into separating ourselves from artificiality and talk about clothing. Another one of the primary things that we interact with on our day-to-day basis. When we have synthetic fabrics that are essentially just plastic, polyester, nylon, spandex, viscose, like all these random fabrics, it feels like there's another one every week that's come out with. They're all just plastic. And when we put that on our skin, like was just mentioned, our skin is our biggest organ and a very absorbent and porous organ. We're absorbing plastic fibers into ourselves. And on a deeper energetic level, because it's not breathable energetically, plastic, we're blocking our aura, our energetic field, where we're just, so whether you're more physical minded or energetic minded, plastic clothing is very, very harmful in both directions. And it absolutely has no business being on the body. So the alternatives, again, and I understand these things come with sacrifice. I understand that these things come with inconvenience in a modern world where all the default options are unfortunately rather unhealthy. But cotton clothing is out there, wool clothing is out there, linen, silk, what have you. And again, these might be higher cost. I understand there's barriers to certain healthy options, and that just is the reality. But fabrics are a massively undervalued change that someone can make in their lives. And it gets the more essential, the more intimate of an area that we're talking about. Of course, the undergarments are in a very sensitive area for both men and women, and are if you want to change just one garment, change your undergarments and make them natural options.
I actually want to say, if you want to change one thing, change your bed sheets and stop sleeping on polyester bed sheets, because not only your pillow, you're breathing it in right beside your face, you're laying in it, you're covering yourself with it. Just changing your bed sheets will actually help you sleep better. I absolutely believe that. Well said. So good. And the great thing is, natural fiber clothing actually lasts longer. Even though it's a little bit more expensive, it lasts longer and you feel better. That's the thing. And maybe we could bring this up. In the beginning, you don't necessarily feel better. Changing your diet, changing your clothing, changing all that doesn't feel better right in the beginning, but you have to stick with it. Over time, you will notice exponentially you feeling better, and everyone in your house around you, especially parents. If your kids are struggling, changing their food and changing their clothing and all of that is like an immediate quick fix. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, give me one more.
I think a big point to make is be adaptive, because what's right for you right now and might be the healthiest thing for you to do right now, and you figured it out, if you figured it out, and you're thriving, and this is good, and this is great, and you're just really on a great track, whether that's diet or other things that you're doing, a job, a relationship, anything. What's right for you right now might not be right for you next year, or even next month, or even tomorrow. It's important to stay adaptive, because life is flowing. You have to be like water, right? To be cliche about it, be like water, and understand that, there's ebbs and flows to life. Things change, our conditions change internally or externally. And if we have one kind of dogmatic way of being and think that we're just going to hold on to that forever, well, we might be doing ourselves a disservice. It's important to constantly intake information, process it through your intuition and internal guiding forces, process it through your life experiences and logic as well, and continually form adaptive conclusions on what might be best for you right now. Try never to say never, and never to say always, because things are a little more nuanced than that sometimes.
Yeah, great point, because rigidity in the mind is one of the most difficult things that we actually do to ourselves. We need to be fluid. We need to be pivotable. We need to be, in the flow. That is so much better for ourselves. So much better for ourselves. I love it. Well, great conversation. And before we close, just talk a little bit when you mentioned about going outside and being outdoors.
Going outdoors, yeah, our bodies are designed to be outdoors. This earth is natural. We are natural beings. And so those two are meant to go together, right? And when you disconnect ourselves from the outdoors, you're disconnecting ourselves from, how our creator intended us to operate and how our bodies just biomechanically operate. We are bioelectrical beings in a physical way. Every electrical device has two components to it. Anyone that understands electricity gets this. There's power and there's ground. If a ground pathway of an electrical device is not functioning properly or is disconnected entirely, that device malfunctions in a major or a series of minor ways. And so our bodies, with the electricity flowing through us, that's the only reason I could interact with this phone. It's because of electricity in me. My body's electrical. Why would we think we're any different and don't have to ground out that energy as well? So get your
my favorite thing you said, my absolutely favorite thing you said. I love it. Get more grounded. Well, folks, if you want to know what Zakariya's up to or learn a little bit more about beatcancer.org, please go over to the website and see how they can be of service to you. Fantastic conversation. Loved it so much. Even for anyone, just healthy, wealthy, wise, wisdom, all of that. All the solutions you gave us today will just really bring such a great impact to humanity. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You got it. Well, folks, I hope that was informative. We don't have to use the C word or the gnarly word. Just live better, eat better, better clothing, your bed sheets, all the different things. Really start thinking and be aware of what it's going to take for you to live a longevity, a long life. You want to be as healthy as you can for as long as possible. And so many of us now have the ability to live even longer than ever. Humanity is, our lifespans are expanding. And so you want to be as healthy as you can for as long as possible. All right. Well, we love, love, love when we hear from you. If you would like to be on the show, please reach out to us and fill out our type form and tell us a little bit about what you're up to and how you're igniting humanity. Just go to the link below and tell us about you. If you'd like to know what we're doing to ignite humanity, you can jump on over to our website and see the way that we are igniting the planet through our book projects, our publishing house, through our events, through our charity initiatives, through building schools. We're doing lots of amazing things to ignite humanity, and we would love you to be a part of our community. And if you'd like to just get to know us even a little bit more, we're off to Las Vegas in May. We're doing a big Ignite event, bringing together people to talk about all kinds of things, just like these conversations on the show, bringing in teachers and trainers and coaches and visionaries, people who are industry leaders, talking about ways to ignite your life in your business, in your brand, and in that personal, mental, emotional breakthrough that you need. That's what we're doing in Vegas, and we would love to see you there. All right, blessings. See you tomorrow.
Now, more than ever, we need to come together to connect with one another. We need to feel the truth in who we are and let go of everything that's happened in the past. We need to empower every person on the planet and awaken hearts, enliven souls, come together, laugh, play, rejoice, connect, create, and love. It's time to ignite humanity. We want you to be a part of something that will impact the future for everyone. We want you to tell your story, share your Ignite moment, show people who you truly are. Be a part of igniting humanity and making a difference in the world and all of our futures.